Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Will Leggetter.
And today we're talking about one of my top 10 favourite films of all time. It is currently ranked at number 10, just on the cusp of the 10, but there is no doubt in my mind that it will ever leave the... we talked about this before, how, you know, you're a bit more loosey-goosey, but I sort of am pretty firm with...
You've just seen more films.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, no, I completely adore this film. I should say what it is as well, shouldn't I? I mean, they know what it is. They've read the title or whatever. But it is 1960s, The Apartment.
Very wonderful story about a boy, a girl, and a very special kind of problem.
Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubelik? I absolutely adore you.
Shut up and deal.
Ingredient number 2, a brilliant cast. Jack Lemmon in a delightful role which gives full rein to Jack's amazing versatility. Shirley MacLaine, whose glowing warmth lights up the screen like a Christmas tree. Fred MacMurray. This is a Fred MacMurray you've never seen before.
You know, you see a girl a couple of times a week just for laughs, and right away they think you're going to divorce your wife. I ask you, is that fair?
No, sir, it's very unfair, especially to your wife.
Best Picture winner, Billy Wilder, written, directed, produced, along with his writing partner I.A.L. Diamond, who worked with him on many films near the, not tail end, it went for another 2 decades, but near the, let's call it the second half of the peak. And it was a very long peak. We can't deny Billy Wilder's just ungodly talent.
Ingredient number 3, Billy Wilder. There's nothing quite like that Billy Wilder, some like it hot kind of laughter.
Are we dressing for dinner?
You know, just come as you are.
So you're pretty good with that racket.
You should see my backhand. Where'd you see me serve the meatballs?
Mildred, he's at it again.
In the field of writing and directing across multiple genres. I mean, you know, the argument for Kubrick has always been for me that he made masterpieces in every genre, and not every genre for Wilder, but Double Indemnity, a masterpiece in the noir genre. Lost Weekend, an alcoholic obsession movie, which is just exceptional. Sunset Boulevard, one of the greatest films ever made. Ace in the Hole,
and a great musical,
and a great musical. Ace in the Hole, one of the most underrated films of all time in my mind, really. I just don't. And when Kirk Douglas unfortunately passed, I thought that it was going to get a bit of a second life, but it didn't really. It just sort of, a few people said, yeah, go watch Ace in the Hole, but Ace in the Hole's excellent. Stalag 17, another William Holden, great wartime comedy. Sabrina, I think, has its moments where it falls off the ladder a bit, and I don't think it completely justifies its length, but beautiful Audrey Hepburn, great Humphrey Bogart, great William Holden, wonderful film. 7 Year Itch, bad, actively a bad film.
You've failed to mention my favourite.
I'm getting to it.
Right.
We're going chronologically, Will.
I do apologise.
Love in the Afternoon, marvellous, Witness for the Prosecution, and I presume your favourite was in 1959, and it was...
Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot. Just an absolute... one of the most perfect comedies of all time. And this is
Whenever
where...
it's on, I'm
sucked in. And this is where the Jack Lemmon, Billy Wilder collaboration starts, which continues for Some Like It Hot, The Apartment, Irma la Douce, Fortune Cookie, Avanti, and Buddy Buddy, which is unfortunately Wilder's last film, and it's not great. But there is, even in the worst Billy Wilder movies, there is glimpses of genius, as you are bound to get when you are dealing with a genius. Well, this was your first time with The Apartment.
yes.
Is it as such a glowing review as mine?
I thought it was excellent, Tom.
Oh, wonderful.
I was very, very sceptical coming up to it.
Why?
I'm not sure. It's because I suppose The Apartment doesn't really give anything away, and I'd never really looked into it, and I'd only really seen pictures or read your article about it, so I not really any knowledge of going into it. But no, I thought it was excellent, and it made me forget how much I like the black and white films. Nice, they're good.
Yes, you had the exact same experience as I did when I first watched The Apartment. I watched The Apartment over 2 days on a trip down to Alton Towers when I was very young, and I had my portable DVD player, and I had you know films that kids love to watch: The Apartment, Midnight Cowboy, and and I did know nothing about The Apartment. All I knew was that my granddad loved it, and that love passed on to my mother and my grandma too, and she just said, yeah, buy it, it's great. So I bought it, and it came, and I put it in my portable DVD player, and I knew not a single thing. And now, sex-wise and morality-wise, a lot of it went over my head, and a lot of the darker elements also went over my head. I mean, I understood the concept of killing yourself, and so I understood the weight of the second half of the film. But obviously we're going to talk about the prostitution element in with just the hard and cold rebuttal of Sheldrake with his $100 bill.
In essence, Jack Lemmon is playing a pimp.
Yes, indeed. So for those of you who don't know, so let's talk about the genesis. So the genesis of the film, 3 people. There are 3 stories. Let's talk about the first one, which is majorly uncredited. So in Tony Curtis's biography, he talks about how on the set of Some Like It Hot, he told Wilder the story of a guy he used to know who rented out his apartment to get higher up the ladder. That's sort of become a bit apocryphal, and not many people, they think that Curtis had a bit of a lapse in memory. But anyway, not to rebut the legacy of the wonderful Tony Curtis. The other 2 influences, Walter Wagner, who was a big Hollywood producer, and he got caught in a bit of a scandal because he was using an underling's apartment for an affair with a wannabe actress who he told he was going to, be the next Monroe, and obviously he just wanted to get his rocks off. But the main influence is the David Lean, Noel Coward movie, Brief Encounter. Have you seen Brief Encounter, Will?
I haven't.
It's wonderful, and it's beautiful. And it's the story of Trevor Howard and, oh Lordy, I'm forgetting her name. But they're having an affair, and it's a very uptight British wartime movie. And the whole point of the movie is that they don't, Celia Johnson, that's it, and Trevor Howard. But the conceit is that they're having an affair, and they use Trevor Howard's friend's apartment. Now, the whole point of the film is that they don't have sex, is that it's love that they're after, not sex. That's what they come to find. But Billy Wilder started thinking, what about the guy who's got to come home in the early hours of the morning and sleep in that warm bed. Now, obviously, in Brief Encounter, the bed isn't warm, but he's got a point. What an idea for a film. And that film is The Apartment, where we have Jack Lemmon as CC, Buddy Baxter, Clifford Calvin, but people call me Buddy, who is, we enter the film, slam bang in the middle of his predicament. He is renting out his apartment, not for money, for favours in the business world, climbing up the ladder to Mr. Dobitch and Mr. Kirkaby and all of the manner of high-ranking associates, so that they can have their little jolly affairs. Because, Will, did you know that in this time, you couldn't go to a hotel? Because not only, you know, public discrimination and all that, but there were hotel detectives who would knock.
What?
And, yeah, hotel detectives. Who would knock if there was any suspicion going on, and they would say, "Is that your wife?" And they would break it up. So there you go. Which leads us obviously to the plot of The Apartment. Now, so we talked about the brilliance of Billy Wilder in this. We talked about the greatness of the collaboration with his script with IAL Diamond. We touched on the wonderful Jack Lemmon, who is just a sensation in this film. Wilder's comment was that he thought it was the most consummate actor since Charlie Chaplin. And when Chaplin sort of gets made redundant and sort of just looked purely as a comedian, but he was also a great dramatic actor, great dictator, Spotlight. Look at these movies. Not the
Michael Keaton.
Not the Boston paper, but although Spotlight is excellent. But the old adage is, and we've you know, done a bit of comedy, we've done a bit of drama acting, and I think it's undeniably true. Comedy's harder.
Oh, comedy is the hardest. I mean, yeah, acting, but I mean, if we're going to go across the whole sort of genre aspect, stand-up, that's incredibly hard. But no,
filming,
comedy acting it's what I used to say that I was best at, like growing up doing a lot of panto, sort of making people laugh. And now I've found serious acting. I've kind of forgotten how to do comedy because it's
I always keep fingers in everything. But yeah, no, I mean, it just comes down to one simple thing, especially not on film, but on stage. If you're doing a drama and you can't hear anything, that's fine. You can just continue with your job. If you're doing a comedy and nobody's laughing, it's torturous.
Yeah.
And Jack Lemmon does both in this film wonderfully. But the trifecta is, of course, the incomparable, the beautiful, the wonderful, the so funny, so delightful, so heartbreaking Shirley MacLaine as Frank Kubelik in this film. Now, you have had your ups and downs with Shirley MacLaine on this podcast before, Will. In terms of endearment, you famously called her an overactor. Postcards from the Edge, you stuck with the overacting, but you said that worked better for this film.
For the character, yeah.
What did you think of 1960, Shirley MacLaine?
This
what
is
did you
my
think
favourite
of
Shirley MacLaine.
Wonderful.
This is,
I
think,
knew it would be.
This is the best Shirley MacLaine I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the third Shirley MacLaine I've ever seen.
Yes. You've got Bernie and Sweet Charity to come.
I think she's excellent. They were clearly the strongest actor in the film. It's an effortless Shirley, which I prefer. It's natural, but there's also something else there. Whereas obviously in the later stuff, I feel, okay, Shirley.
I know. Yes, you do feel that way. I think in both roles, I think Aurora Greenway, in terms of endearment, also lends to the overacting nature. I think that's part of that's part of it. But all the same, I think I don't know. I think in terms of endearment's her best performance. I have to say, I think in terms of endearment, she balances. I think she doesn't like the scene where she comes back to the pool and Jack's there. There's no overacting there. It's just pure, oh, I'm getting upset now. It's one of the most beautiful, touching. We talked about Toes with Demon. Go listen to our Toes with Demon pod and listen to the different points I cry at. That's one of them. And it's the wonderfulness of Shirley. But yeah, no, this is the ingenue. You know, they needed, you know, let's touch on casting. So Monroe, there was no way Wilder was putting Monroe in the role of Frank Kubelik. He had had such a terrible time on Some Like It Hot. She, you know, she's wonderful in the film, but she was terrible on set. She had Arthur Miller, great writer, incredible, but she had Arthur Miller rewriting scenes, and you know, the conversation of who's a better writer, Billy Wilder or Arthur Miller, I don't know. I think Billy Wilder's certainly better at writing a slapstick farce comedy than Arthur Miller ever did. You know, nobody's saying that The Crucibles laugh a minute. But
yes, this gentleman.
Yeah, continuing our discussion here about actors, I'm curious, you've done a number of films with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, and what I'm curious about is there something in those two actors in particular, aside from the fact that they're both very fine actors, that draws you to them time and time again?
No, I only made 2 pictures with Shirley,
right.
And Jack.
3.
No, about 4 or 5. But Jack, who I'm terribly fond of him, and we understand each other very well. He's my neighbor, and we discuss things, and I always look forward to working with him. And he is a thinking actor, but not an argumentative one. By that I mean, he would come in the morning, like we start shooting at 9. He would be there 8:15, and he would come to my office, and he would say, "Hey, I've got a great idea. Look, why don't we do this? Blah 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 blah." And I look at him, and he says, "I don't like it either." And he walks out, and we just go out. You know, I don't have to spend, up until 11:30 in the morning. We haven't got a shot in the can.
Although there are touches of comedy in all of this, anyway. But yeah, and she was doing so many takes. She couldn't get the lines. It was a complete shambles. And very similar on, less troublesome on 7 Year Itch, but the comedy was so precise on Some Like It Hot. She wasn't pulling her weight. Let's say that. Famously, maybe came to a punch-up. There is the apocryphal tale that we'll talk about on the Some Like It Hot pod. But there is the apocryphal tale that it did come to a punch-up at one point.
I think it kind of makes sense because she was famously an incredibly messy, lazy person, wasn't she?
Mm.
Like, there's stories of her housemates saying it's the biggest chore in the world to clean her house because everything is all over the floor, half-eaten stuff everywhere. She was just a slob. And people, so many people complain about her.
Mm.
So, yeah.
rough stuff for Marilyn. However, I can't imagine anybody other than Shirley in this role. Wilder commented that he needed, when they were looking for casting, they needed somebody who could be sexy, funny, and sweet. And, well, Shirley can do all 3, and she does all 3 in this film. She's very sexy, she's very sweet, and she's very funny.
Mm.
And, and she can break your heart, which is obviously the most important.
Yeah, she sort of steals every scene she's in. Like, I look at my notes, and a lot of my favourite bits are when Shirley's on. Like,
those early scenes in the elevator and those back and forths.
If I'm going to break it,
yeah, do it.
2 of my favourite minutes are the 2 first elevator scenes.
Yeah,
they're great.
And also just that lovely little when they're talking about when they're planning the Music Man Day, and you're spot on with effortless when she throws away the appendix line. You know, a bit. You know, it starts off a bit creepy. You know, I know your address and all that.
I know where you live.
I know where you live. I can find you. But I think it gets funnier and sweeter as he starts talking about, I know your height, I know your weight, and it's very jovial. And he's not a stalker. We know this. But when he goes, I know you had your appendix out, and she goes, well, I wouldn't want the fellas knowing how, and she just throws it away. And yes, I agree with you that it's her most effortless performance. Whereas obviously in Sweet Charity, she's got to be
It's a movie
going
musical.
for that.
You've
Yeah, it's got to be going for the houses.
That's the one exception I will give overacting the green flag. It's in musicals because that's the nature of music.
However, we've seen so many movie musicals where that is such a hindrance because a movie musical. Yeah, suddenly I've got a girl on my lap. Sure, that was the lyric. And but movie musicals, your camera's right there, and if you're acting for the back row, it could be rather disastrous. Or Lucille Ball in Maine, where she didn't act at all. It should have been Angela Lansbury. I'm bringing back opening line Hall of Fame, Will.
It's been so long.
Because I have the script right here.
Of course you do.
Naturally. And also I'd highly recommend the Arrow Academy release of The Apartment. I don't know if you can get this limited edition. It was limited edition, so but the beautiful hardback case of it, and the special features and marvelous. On November 1st, 1959, the population of New York City was 8,042,783. If you laid all these people end to end, figure an average height of 5 feet 6.5. Jesus Christ. 5 feet 6.5 inches, they would reach from Times Square to the outskirts of Karachi, Pakistan. I know facts like this because I work for an insurance company. Ding, 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 ding.
And it's got that wonderful sort of montage of all the workers.
It does.
The clock. I like it.
It's good. It perfectly puts us into the world that we're going to be in. YouTube comments. Not many this week. You get that with the older films. Not many people are really commenting on them. A great movie. Too bad mostly shit comes out in Hollywood these days.
Oh, okay.
It is a throwback to a different time, it has to be said. Biggest disappointment of all time. Wilder, McMurray, Lemmon, MacLaine, and it bored the shit out of me.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Couldn't agree less, but
Sorry.
you know, I guess everybody has their opinions. Best 10-minute stretch. Will, why don't you do you want to take 10 minutes or do you want to take single minute?
I'll do 10 minutes because I've got less of them. I've got two. I've got the key proposition, the whole that initial when we first meet Fred.
Yes, and he brings it up to his office. Yeah.
I will buy you a ticket to go to see The Music Man. I'm like, I'd be like, yes, please.
Yes,
I love the musicals. I've got that. And then I've also got Christmas Dinner. Yeah. That sort of, when she wakes up and she's sort of, they really start to get talking and there's that wonderful chemistry. And that sort of 10 minutes onwards from there.
And the taxi driver brother-in-law coming in, ruining it all. Really punching Jack MacLaine accidentally. That's a real punch. They messed up the choreography, and they genuinely punched Jack Lemmon. I've got Kubrick / Cold. So I've put the first elevator scene. You should have stayed in bed last night. You should have stayed in bed last night. So I should have stayed in bed last. Wait, no. Oh, God. What's the line? You should have stayed in bed last night. I should have stayed in my bed last night. Oh God.
Yeah.
Fran and Bud. Here we are. What did you do to your hair? It was making me nervous, so I chopped it off. Big mistake, huh? Do we? We've never really seen Shirley MacLaine with long hair.
No.
I was trying to think. Yeah, no, we haven't. Sweet Charity, I guess it looks longer, but it's up.
Is it not a wig in Sweet Charity? I don't know.
Probably. You should have stayed in bed this morning. I should have stayed in bed last night.
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Just the incomparable introduction to Kubrick and the whole cold business of the just some wonderful cold acting from Jack Lemmon into, yes, as you say, the proposition. I'll also put in there the rescheduling, the back and forth, the just. There are moments where I think, is that scene too long? But then I go, no, it's the perfect length because we are perfectly being shown the drudgery of Buddy Baxter's life and his situation. Then I have the Music Man. So I have offering the date to the Music Man.
Yeah.
The reveal.
I mean, let's talk about that reveal. She walks in. You don't know, is this her date? Is this the lobby of the... I thought it was the lobby of the theatre on her way to see Buddy.
Very orientally designed theatre to the Majestic.
But and then she sits down and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a very interesting film.
That looks like Fred McMurray.
That looks like the back of Fred.
Looks like Walter Neff from Double Indemnity. I mean, you got the lovely little click straight away with the pianist of the classic, you know, as time goes by, let's call it Casablanca moment of our song. And, you know, she's clearly been brought here so many times. And he stops straight away and dun, 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 which is a piece of music called Jealous Lover. Well, it was originally called Jealous Lover. It was reorchestrated to become the theme to The Apartment, but the original melody is called Jealous Lover. And I'm going to say this now. No, I won't say it because I'll probably be wrong. I think, but this is certainly one of my favourite pieces of movie music of all time.
Oh, very nice.
I think it's obviously certainly imbued with the film. However, I'm not going to make apologies for that. That's the reason that those movie musics work so well. Obviously, they should stand alone as their own beautiful piece of score. But any good soundtrack, you know, you say the song, you can see the scene. Play any song on the Boogie Nights soundtrack, I can tell you exactly the scene. Play any song in any Tarantino, and I'll tell you the scene because they're well chosen.
I think I'd have to. If we're going to talk about pieces of music, I'd probably throw in, is it The Ice Dance, is it, from
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, that is good. Oh, and she's dancing in the snow. Drunkenly, it was a sort of pre-drinks. I was trying to pre-drinks and stuff it. And it sort of became the actual party eventually. And we were like, they were all having a let's call it some recreational cigarettes. They're all having a recreational cigarette in the conservatory, and I didn't want to smell out my suit, naturally, and so I was having a nice glass of wine with an American, and not George Clooney, not the American, a American, and I was flicking through the channels because you know, it's a stilted conversation. It was nice anyway. And Edward Scissorhands came on, and she was trying to rip into it. She was trying to make fun of it. And I said, no, it's beautiful, because it was the end where the kid's in this strangely large bed. And Winona Ryder's got all of her old age makeup on. And she's going, I know he's up there because before he went up, it never snowed. And now it always snows. Sometimes you can still see me dancing in it. Oh, beautiful. And then it cuts to him and he's, where does he get those blocks of ice? It'll come up in Big Question on the Edward Scissorhands podcast. Is Diane Wiest supplying him with blocks of ice? No, I completely agree. Both beautiful pieces of music. And then that painful, I'm going to ruin one of my specific favourite parts, just that painful image of Buddy stood outside the Music Man, everybody's gone in. Does he go in and watch the end of the Music Man, or does he just go home? Watch the entire Music Man, rather. Or does he just go home?
He goes home. He goes home. Because he's poorly, isn't he?
Yes, he's
the only motivation he had was the opportunity to go on a nice date. Without that, really, he's doing what he wanted to be doing in the first place, which is going to bed.
Yeah. Poor the music. You should have gone across the road and watched West Side Story, the original production. Dun 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 dun.
Mambo.
Wow. I had the Christmas party. Oh, is the mirror the greatest plot device / reveal? I'm just going to say it. Is this the greatest plot device in any film ever?
Oh.
I just think the neatness and the efficiency and just the genius of the mirror back and forth, and he's so that right. So that entire scene, let's just break it down. So he's invites Shirley in. Shirley gets, let's call it jilted by Miss Olsen. Oh, I was first, and then there was Mrs. Rossi, and same old Chinese food, same old final booth, same old music, and our life is just, and most importantly, same old story about him divorcing his wife, and she just drops her entire face, and that face stays like that and then Buddy doesn't care. He's just putting on his bowler hat. He knows no better, and it looks good. Yeah. And the pain in her eyes. She's not letting a single tear out. But God, is it tearing her inside? Then he shows her the Christmas card, which rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Little does he know. But there we go, Here, just have a look. And the look in the broken mirror. The bowler hat and the broken mirror is an image I will never forget in film.
When I was directing Jekyll and Hyde before Show Week got coveted, the plan was to use a mirror as the main plot device. So I would say it is us geniuses that like to use it.
How are you going to use it as a plot device? As a new plot device, or was it just already in the script?
It's not in the script. It was recommended to me actually by one of our technicians. It's very, very, very good. But the idea was an infinity mirror. So it was just this this big sort of square where it was like full body length, and it would be covered with like an old raggy cloth the whole time. Then on his final confrontation, he would sort of swish it off and reveal this infinity mirror. So the idea is it's like a strip of LEDs around the sides, and then the mirror's on top. So it looks like it mirrors itself. So it's a never-ending sort of tunnel of lights, and it would be him singing into that, confronting sort of the Jekyll Hyde, and that would have been quite cool.
And then he would have sang Rainbow High, and they would have moved the mirrors around him.
That's it. Yes.
No, or Roxy. Dun, 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 dun.
We don't talk about Roxy. When we did Roxy, when we did Chicago, there were 4. Well, discounting Amos and Billy Flynn, there were 4 members of the ensemble that were male, me included. Right. And so Roxy, when she said, "I'm going to get myself a boy, or maybe 2. I'm going to get myself a bunch of boys," and then us 4 come on clicking. It's very funny.
I love Roxy. I love all of Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago's great. It's,
you know the original casting for Billy Flynn was?
Now then.
Before Gear.
Nathan Lane.
No, it was Hugh Jackman.
No, I think Richard Gere is very good.
Yes, as my ex used to call him Rat Face. He does have a bit of a rat face.
He does.
Doesn't he?
He does.
And she always used to say the same thing about Tom Cruise, which I said was less right. I don't think Tom Cruise has as much.
It's more of a vole. More of a vole.
Mouse face.
Side, how's that? Is that better?
Much better.
Well, since you wouldn't be ashamed to be seen with me, how about the 3 of us going out tonight? You, me, and the bowler. We'll stroll down Fifth Avenue, sort of break it in.
This is a bad day for me.
Oh, I understand. Christmas family and all that. Yeah.
I'd better get back to my elevator. I don't want to be fired.
You don't have to worry about that. I got quite a bit of influence and personnel. You know Mr. Sheldrake?
Why?
Well, he and I are like that. Sent me a Christmas card. See?
Makes a cute picture.
I thought maybe I'd put in a word for you with Mr. Sheldrake, get you a little promotion. How would you like to be an elevator starter?
I'm afraid there are too many girls around here with seniority over me.
No problem. Why don't we discuss it sometime over the holidays? I can call you and pick you up. We have a big unveiling. Are you sure this is the right way to wear this?
I think so. Here.
You don't think it's tilted a little too much? I mean, after all, this is a conservative firm. I don't want people to think I'm an entertainer.
The recovery period, which you talked about in the introduction of Gin Rummy. And then how could you not pick giving the key back, New Year's Eve, running home, shut up and deal. Oh, one of my favorite movie endings.
I've written it into minute by accident, but yeah, Jack leaving job into end. That's what I've written. Yeah.
God, what a movie moment. You know, you could say it's cliche, but it doesn't. It's not cliche because the whole running wasn't a thing yet. This is 1960, remember. Sure, we've seen years and years of people running. Another big run, which we'll get to at the end of the episode. I don't want to ruin anything. Just...
Oh, and I love the payoff of the champagne gag. That's great.
Yes!
That's great. That's very Jack Lemmon.
Not even a gag. You genuinely think he might kill himself. It's just so perfect. Many people call this a perfect script, and I just have to agree. I have three changes, and two of them are very pernickety, and that's just because I've watched it too many times. But the champagne bang reveal is flawless and so well set up, and you know we obviously have the gun story, and you know we see the gun again when he's packing it away, and it makes complete sense. It's not like he doesn't awkwardly have to come across the gun again. It makes sense because he's packing everything up. Everything is so perfect. It drives me mad. Any other 10-minute stretches, Will?
That's it for me.
It is. Tom's weirdly specific favourite part of the film? Oh, I'm saying it's me.
It is you.
Kirkby asking for those little cheese crackers. You don't put them out anymore. I love the effort that he clearly used to put in before he got dazed. Just a great sex gag with the Marilyn Monroe. Oh, I only need 45 minutes. And then she comes in and she's being all sexy and make it 30. Just a really good, cheeky sex gag. The two times that Dr. Dreyfus goes, Mildred, he's at it again. Wonderful, sassy bit of Kubelik when Kirkby slaps her on the ass. You know, it's 1960. You know, different times, and she goes, "No, Mr. Kirkby, watch your hands, Mr. Kirkby. One of these days, these elevator doors, and you." And so this comes up in Mad Men season 1, which you'll be soon enlightened to. And it is set in a big office building, and there are a bunch of adulterous affairs. And the week that the apartment comes out, there is a bit of a flurry among the office because, well, it's the first time that sort of story is put onto a main screen. Like, you didn't see movies like this in 1960. You know, we'll talk about it more in Double Indemnity, but Wilder was constantly rebutting the Haze Code, doing all he could to get around the Haze Code. For those of you who don't know, the Haze Code was a code in the early 40s where basically, you had to you couldn't have a prostitute movie, which this effectively is. You couldn't have most of the things that you have in this movie. And it's sort of, I've always found interesting the first plays that writers wrote who always had to deal in innuendo. You look at Williams, you look at Albee, you look at Miller, and then you look at the first plays where they were allowed to swear. And I mean, Albee later in his life added two fucks to Virginia Woolf, which he originally wanted in. But you look at Small Craft Warnings, which is an excellent play. A little bit messy, but an excellent play. Tennessee Williams, and pardon the pun, they're all swearing like sailors. Like you've even got a few C words every other page. And you think, is it a bit much?
It's just getting it all out.
Yeah, you get it out of your system. And we have a bit of that with Irma la Douce, which is the next Wilder, Lemmon, MacLaine joint, where they can be a bit more sexual, and it suffers. It's not as good a film, but it's a subject for another day. So, yeah, me. It's still me, isn't it? Lovely, great gag when he pulls out the thermometer to use as a pen.
Yep.
Oh, my Slayer's double parked, Drunk Santa. Oh, just great stuff. The darkness of that prostitute encounter, let's call it, where he gives her the money, and Shirley just takes off her coat, and she goes, "Oh no, we don't have time for that," and well, you've paid for it, and he goes, "Don't say that, don't say that," but she does. She feels, pardon the parlance, she feels like a cheap whore. She feels like a piece of meat, where she thought that there was the possibility that, well, she's in love with him. She says it all the time. She says, never wear mascara when you're in love with a married man. Why can't I fall in love with a nice guy like you? She says love so many times. She clearly is in love.
If I break some of my favourite lines there, they're both them. The worst part is I still love him, and why can't I ever fall in love with somebody nice like you? Yeah. They're both heartbreaking lines.
Why do people have to love anyway? Because it's the best thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, welcome to everybody's favourite segment of the show, Sad Tom Corner. I watched this for a long time, and yeah, I always dreamed I'd find a Fran, and I was a lonely person, and now we've come full circle.
Because you were watching this on the way to Alton Towers as a young child. That's
no, why. Actually, Will, I watched the first half. I watched the first half when we came home at night, and I watched the second half on the ride home. But no, I mean, I wrote a whole screenplay about it, for God's sake. It's called Teenage Dream, not the Katy Perry song, the Mark Bolan song. Don't. And the whole point is that he watches too many movies, and so he's got an unrealistic vision of love. And the movie ends with him sat in a revival screening of The Apartment, crying alone. So so that's life, eh, kids? The two times, because they both do the gag, and it shows that they're perfect for each other. But they say 3, where he goes, "I've had 3 drinks," and she goes, 3 boyfriends. They're perfect for each other. They just don't know it. Another heartbreaking line, why can't the inventor pump for that when she's talking about, getting love for a shitty person out of your system? The whole tennis racket gag, wonderful. And the payoff of that, the whole you should see my backhand. And we talked about the champagne. Will's more general favourite parts of the film.
What have I got? I've got I quite like that shot of he's on the phone to someone in a bar, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a girl who's just like Marilyn Monroe." Yeah, and that shot of him in the phone booth and the back of her head, I like that. That's a nice camera angle.
It is.
I've got Jack. Just in general, Jack Lemmon is incredibly good at pretending to have a cold. That's great cold acting. It's the best cold acting I've ever seen. It's the best cold acting we've ever seen. Unfortunately, we didn't. Oh no! Well, you can see it in the film, but the film's a bit shit. But the Barefoot in the Park, the original Robert Redford production, Mike Nichols said to Robert Redford, "What if you had a cold?" And he said, "Is this okay?" And just like that. Just no, I've changed my mind. That's awful. But he said, "No, that's perfect. Give him a cold." But
But this is excellent cold acting. Yes.
And then I've got at the bar, when he's at the bar at Christmas, and the
lining
lady,
up his
she
olives.
blows the straw at him. Do you do that whenever you have a straw?
I famously fire at my sister all the time, and get to the point where now when we go to restaurants, that we don't have those anymore, do we? It's all bloody paper straws, and it's all. Woe is me.
Just because the polar bears are falling over.
I say, let them die. Do you have any other?
That's it from me.
Then it's time for Oscar travesty. So there isn't necessarily an Oscar travesty. It won everything. Well, not everything, which we'll get to, but it won Best Picture. This was the last black and white film to win until what film will?
The Artist.
Schindler's List.
Oh.
But this is the last completely black and white film until The Artist, yes. So I guess you're right, but...
Of course I'm right.
No. So it wins Wilder's the first person to win Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay ever.
Oh, very good.
Which is, spoilers, everybody, my dream in life. My biggest dream in life is to win Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Writer. Maybe, actually, be the first person ever to win Picture, Director, Actor, and Writer, but we'll
produce it, write it, star in it, and direct.
Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. Peter Falk was in Monsters, Inc. No, I'm kidding. Murder, Inc. Do we... So the nominees here aren't great. The other 1960 film to talk about is Psycho. Do we think...
Oh, that... I can see why the Academy wouldn't have nominated it, because it was still very sort of controversial at the time, wasn't it?
Did get a Best Director nod. Did get a Best Director nod.
Did. I can see why they didn't let it compete.
Are we happy with an apartment sweep, or do we think it should be a split? Do we think Hitchcock should win for director?
I don't think Psycho is his best directed film, so no.
True. I have the bias, not the bias, I have the second-hand thought of knowing that Hitchcock never won director. So every time I see him nominated, I go, well, here's your travesties. Jack Lemmon should have won.
It's Jack Lemmon.
Best actor.
Yeah.
And Shirley MacLaine should have won for best actress. Butterfield 8 is nowhere near Liz Taylor's best movie, which we'll get to on Who's Virginia Woolf or sometime before or something, who knows. Jack Crushon got a nomination as Dr. Dreyfus. I think that can stay as a nomination. I don't know if he's a winner. It did win Best Screenplay, and I mean, you're damn right. I mean, this is one of the most flawless screenplays ever. Let's have a look at black and white cinematography. Is this? Have they split it? Yes. Yes, they had.
Did they split it for Schindler's List?
No. They
that would have been the only one nominated.
The only one
so it was a guaranteed win, really.
I don't remember when. Because it eventually just became best cinematography. I don't know when they eliminated this. 2010s? Oh, the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. Let's see when they split it. Black and white color, black and white color, black and white color, black and white color, black and white color. Oh, we know that it goes to 1960.
But we're in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah. 80s, 70s. It's what became 66 was the final year. 66 was the final year. With Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf winning for black and white, beautiful cinematography, and A Man for All Seasons winning for color. Yeah. No. And then we obviously come into those beautiful color movies of the 60s. Yes, because this was obviously a choice to shoot in black and white. Such was Psycho, and as we've talked about, I think it's a good choice. I think the harsh black and white adds to the office and adds to the darkness. I mean, it's obviously a bit easy to say that it adds to the darkness, but I think it's true. Will's favorite building or set?
You wouldn't believe this, Tom. It's the apartment.
I don't believe this, actually. I would put the office above it. I think the, not futuristic, but the prison-like office is great. And I'd even go for the let's call it the tiki lounge. But no, the apartment itself is just nice enough and just shit enough. And you're right, it is lovely. Best single minute. So you kicked us off last time. I'll kick us off this time. Lonely Buddy, Lonely Bud. The sort of, I guess I could have put it in 10-minute stretch.
Congratulations and all that jazz.
Hi, fellas. Well, you made it. Just like we promised.
Quite an office. Name in the door, rug on the floor, the whole schmear.
Yeah. Teamwork, that's what counts in an organization like this. All for one and one for all. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a vague idea.
Baxter, we're a little disappointed in you, gratitude-wise.
Oh, I'm very grateful.
Then why are you locking us out all of a sudden?
Well, it's been sort of rough the past few weeks, what with my cold and like that.
We went to bat for you, and now you won't play ball with us.
Well, after all, it's my apartment. It's private property. It's not a public playground.
All right, so you got yourself a girl. That's okay with us, but not every night in the week.
How selfish can you get? Last week, I had to borrow my nephew's car and take Sylvia to a drive-in in Jersey. I'm too old for that sort of thing. I mean, in the Volkswagen.
I sympathize with your problem. Believe me, I'm very sorry.
You'll be a lot sorrier before we're through with you.
Are you threatening me?
Listen, Baxter, we made you and we can break you.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Sheldrake.
Good morning, gentlemen. Everything satisfactory, Baxter?
But and say it was the whole introduction, but I've specifically zoned in on him coming home, having to put the bottles away, the warm, exactly the warm bed that Wilder was initially intrigued by, and doing his chicken wings and watching the adverts and all the westerns, and yeah, as a guy who's on many nights just sat eating chicken wings, watching a movie. Yeah.
Have you seen the KFC are bringing back the 80-piece popcorn chicken bucket? And because they're on Rishi prices, it's £2.99.
Oh, I didn't get it. I didn't get it last time. We considered it.
Yes, but now it's a £2.99. I will be getting it. Yeah,
get involved. The flower ride up specifically, where she gives him the flower. Oh,
yeah, that's nice.
The whole bar scene. We've yet to talk about the wonderful Holiday Ranger, holiday, hope holiday, hope holiday. Talking about Mickey, who's in Havana. He's a jockey. He's like a chihuahua. And they found him doping horses in Havana.
When she's like, would you like to see a picture? And he's like, no, honestly, no.
Especially. He goes very posh, not especially. I feel a bit bad for her when he has to toss her out, but he has to toss her out. I mean, you've got a possibly dead girl. Yes, a nice little comedic relief.
I like, what did she say? She'll say, I'm going to tell my husband how you treated me.
Yeah. And when he finds out, he's going to give you a right punch. Just great gags. Kirkby coming over on. It gets a bit fuzzy. I don't know whether it's Boxing Day or Christmas Day. I think it's Christmas Day because it's the day. It's the day after, and he brings the champagne again. Perfect screenplay, lovely little setup. And he brings her over, and he's like, "Wow, you should have just said if you had a bit of something." And the suicide story as well. When he making light of his suicide attempt, and how do you shoot yourself? In here, and let's not get too into the problematics of suicide and depression and mental health, but he sums it up pretty well. The knee took me 9 months to get over. The girl took me 3 weeks. And that's not always true. Sometimes it takes. What month is it, Will?
take years.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a year and 5 months and 4 days. No, and but
And 62 seconds.
yes, 62 seconds. Funny. Not
1 minute.
Yeah,
1 minute and 2 seconds.
I'm a 300-second man. I count my minutes that way. Will, any nominations for best single minute?
I've got Finding. Well, you've mentioned all of them, but just mention another. If we look at when he finds Shirley in the bed, the overdose, the music is so perfectly chosen for that scene because it's so jolly, and it's that juxtaposition. It's great.
And then we have to wait, but we do get the release when he yanks the record player.
Yeah.
And he turns it off. Yeah. Best line. I mean, wow, what a feel! What a good God. Let's see how long this category goes on for. But let's just start straight up. Let's go back and forth. Well, let's go back and forth.
Oh well, I've mentioned 3 of my 4 already.
Well, there you go. That's the way it crumbles, cookie-wise. I say that all the time. The mirror, it's broken. Yes, I know. I like it that way. Makes me look the way I feel. When you're in love with a married man, you shouldn't wear mascara. I used to live like Robinson Crusoe. I mean, shipwrecked among 8 million people. And then one day I saw a footprint in the sand, and there you were. Beautiful. Underrated love line, I feel. He's a taker. A what? Some people take, some people get took, and they know they're getting took, and there's nothing they can do about it. How painfully true.
Can you get took? That doesn't sound right.
No, yeah, he took advantage of.
Okay.
Taken advantage of, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing, dinner for 2. Do you usually eat alone? Oh, no. Sometimes I have dinner with Ed Sullivan, sometimes Dinah Shore or Perry Como. The other night I had dinner with Mae West. I have used this line so many times. Obviously, I don't use Ed Sullivan and
how
Dinah
many
Shore.
people, how often do people go, oh my God, I love the apartment too?
No, they don't, because I don't say Ed Sullivan or Dinah Shore. Right, this is a complete glimpse into how miserable my life and desperate my love life and all that has become. I had a dream last night that I met just the perfect woman, and the clincher was, I said she loved the movie Network, and I said, well, I've got a Blu-ray of the movie Network. Have you ever seen it on HD? And she said, yes, I own the Blu-ray too. And then I would say, oh well, I don't know whether that's good news or bad news. And she'd go, why? Because the good news is I've never met a woman so beautiful who has Network on Blu-ray. The bad news is I don't have a reason to invite you up to my place. And she goes, you don't need an invitation. You don't need a reason.
Mom, it was just a dream.
Yes, I know. Well, I know. I had another dream where we were at a big party and it was like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And she was like, oh, Annie Hall. And then later, I was, I was sat next to Sinead, my good friend, and I clenched Sinead's hand, and she went, "Play it cool, play it cool." And then later on at the party, I said to her, I said, it's like that old joke, and I said the whole opening monologue. And she went, oh, you like Annie Hall? I was like, oh, well, I love Woody Allen. And then we both said in sync, but Crimes and Misdemeanors is his best film. So, in other words, Will, I've hit rock bottom. I have a present for you. I didn't quite know what to get you. Besides, it's kind of an awkward thing for me shopping. So here's $100. You go and buy yourself something. Another great throwaway line. The throwaway lines are great. I was jinxed from the word go. The first time I was ever kissed was in a cemetery. I'd like to spell it out for you. Only I can't spell.
I like that one.
Would you mind opening the window? Now, you don't get any ideas, Miss Kublick. You see a girl a couple of times a week just for laughs, and right away they think you're going to divorce your wife. Just pure scumbag. Well, any lines?
The only other one I've got is when he's taking home Hope Holiday, and she's like, "Oh, my place or yours?" And he says, "Well, we might as well go to mine. Everybody else does." I like
That's
that.
good. And
Yeah.
also the great earlier line, I said I didn't have a family. I never said my apartment was free. Just his resignment to his current situation is wonderful. What's the change? Well,
I've got a couple.
Okay.
I have. These are just more memes, really, than a genuine change.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. When in the big run at the end, when she's running back to his house,
Right.
the front door is wide open, and she runs. I know there's separate apartments inside, but the front door to get in, she just opens straight away.
The front door's always open to get in.
Is it?
Yeah, because he only gives the key to the apartment, because they then put the key under the mat. It was a different time, the 60s. People like, the famous thing is, that we never used to lock our doors. Yeah, different times. Yeah.
Well,
go on, continue with your memes. I'm just imagining old German Billy Wilder going, "What is a meme? I don't understand." It's very, very, very funny.
The other one's just a funny observation that the nasal spray looks a lot like he's sniffing glue.
He's sniffing milk because it wouldn't show up on the screen otherwise. But it does look like he's sniffing glue, yes. I chose the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. The narration, sort of, we begin with the narration and it works to open the film, but then it sort of disappears. And I've always felt either have it all the way through. Narration, I've always been a bit dicky when it sort of comes in and out and disappears. I either like
on the narration at the end of Once Upon a Time
in Hollywood.
Yeah,
there isn't any narration at the end of it.
There is. There's no narration all the way through, and then all of a sudden, and then he got on a plane with his Italian wife.
No, that's because because there is narration earlier, because you've got Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell describes about, that's a load of fucking bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
That was a fucking lie. No, that works. Because it's Kurt Russell. And it's throughout the film as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. Kill me quick, Ringo, said the gringo. I don't like the line, "I'm full up, take the next elevator," when she sat talking with him in the Chinese restaurant. I just don't like that. It's a bit too kitschy, a bit too kooky. And this is a real picnicky one. How does she run away from him and he doesn't realise?
Oh, yeah. I've also said his reaction to her not being there is bad acting as well. I mean, he's great, but
I don't know about his reaction.
You can tell he's an actor knowing that she's not going to be there when he turns around.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah. What's left from Will's notes?
Nothing.
Okay. Do you know why the gin rummy's in the film?
Why?
Because Shirley MacLaine was being taught gin rummy by the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Dee Mine, on the set of Ocean's 11. Because in the middle of shooting this film, she went and shot a cameo in the terrible and boring...
Original or remake?
The original.
It's bad. It's very bad.
It's a actively bad movie.
And then what sort of ending is it? When they just
walk
go
away
to the cremation and they're just walking out... And that's it.
It's really terrible. Actually, it's a bad film. And the other Robin and the Seven Hoods is more enjoyable, and it has a few songs in it. But Ocean's 11 is a bad movie. Here's an interesting thing. Really struck me this time. What about a double bill of this and Taxi Driver? Exploring loneliness in New York. Because I kept thinking about movies exploring
it's
loneliness.
One extreme and the other, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Well, who knows? Another neighborhood, another town, another job. I'm on my own.
That's funny. So am I. What'd you do with the cards?
In there. Mr. Sheldrake.
I'm gonna send him a fruitcake every Christmas. Cut.
I love you, Miss Kubelik.
3. Queen.
Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubelik? I absolutely adore you.
Shut up and deal.
Have you thought about donating your body to the university? And then the call girl who goes, you know, he was rich, so I thought he'd take me somewhere nice, but he took me to some schmuck's apartment. I just found that very funny. Alternate ending corner, we don't have one. But we do, as we always do, have a few fun facts. The film was lauded by Soviet critics as an indictment of the American system and a story that could have only happened in a capitalist city like New York. At a dinner honouring him in East Berlin, Billy Wilder said that the movie could happen anywhere, in Hong Kong, Tokyo, Rome, Paris, London. When Wilder said that the one place it could not have happened was Moscow, the East Germans broke into thunderous applause and cheers. When the ovation died down, Wilder continued, "The reason this picture could not have taken place in Moscow is that in Moscow, nobody has his own apartment." The remark was met with grim silence. Famously, they wouldn't allow any deviation from the script. This drove Shirley MacLaine mad because she was a bit of an improv girl. Nasal spray was milk. In the scene where Cal punches Baxter, he was supposed to be mimed, but he failed to move correctly and was accidentally knocked out. And they used that real punch in the film.
Yeah, why not?
Shut
That's
up and
what
deal. Oh, sorry, go on.
My GCC drama teacher was like, if you're going to punch someone or slap someone, do it. And so I did in my... Poor Bryony. You know Bryony.
I do know Bryony, yes.
Yeah, it was quite a hard slap, and there was a mark on there for a week after.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Got an A star though, didn't I? So,
so it's all worth it. What did she get?
Oh, sure, she got a good mark. We all did.
Oh, good. The film's classic last line was thought up by the writers at the last minute on set. One of the greatest closing lines of all time, thought up last minute. According to Fred McMurray, after the film's release, he was accosted by women in the street who berated him for making a dirty, filthy movie. And one of them actually hit him with her purse.
Oh.
Jack Lemmon signed on to the film after Billy Wilder told him the story, but never gave him a single line of the script. And Jack Lemmon said, "I'd have signed on even if he said he was going to do the phone book." I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? So they made a musical of The Apartment in 1968 called Promises, Promises, with Neil Simon writing the script and Burt Bacharach and Hal David, who we know from Butch Cassidy, writing the songs. So, you know, you've songs in there like I'll Never Fall in Love Again. And then it was a bit of a flop. And then they did revive it in 2010 with Kristen Chenoweth, and they added all of Burt Bacharach and Hal David's other famous songs, not Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, obviously, but I Say a Little Prayer for You. They added that in, but it was similarly not very well reviewed.
I wake up
before I put on my makeup. The tagline for Suddenly Last Summer was, in 1959, a wonderful film, was "She knew she was being used for something evil." Billy Wilder made a play on that line to promote his film. Suddenly last winter, he knew his apartment was being used for something evil. And this is one of Francis Ford Coppola's favourite films. And during the scene where Fran overdoses, doctors were actually present on the set to advise accuracy on how to revive her. The harsh slaps that the doctor performs to keep Fran from becoming unconscious were all real. Different times. However, after the scene, the doctors told Billy Wilder that the actor should have slapped Shirley MacLaine harder. Wilder refused to shoot it again, though, after looking at MacLaine's red cheeks from being slapped so many times. This was, of course, the old Hollywood days where the medicine was, where the Victor Fleming slapped Judy Garland ridiculously hard because she wouldn't stop laughing during Wizard of Oz. At least this was semi-justified, and Shirley MacLaine consented to it. Tom's big question: will it last? Yes. If it doesn't last, I have no faith in God, and I've lost complete faith in my life. Right. So it's everybody's other favourite corner. Tom brings up his ex because she had some interesting points on films, even though she ended up with a cokehead rugby player. She hated that Buddy never says anything to her near the end of the film when she says, "Oh yeah, no, he's going to leave her," and he goes, "Yeah, I guess you're wrong about Mr. Sheldrake," when he knows that he's not going to do a damn thing about it. She always thought that didn't work, but I completely think it works because I think Buddy's allowed a touch of anger at being tossed around the way he has, and not that Shirley's been leading him on, but
I mean, he's allowed to be angry, but is it the right thing to say in this situation? Probably not.
No. Does he forgive the Music Man too easily? I mean, we know that 6 weeks have passed, but still.
I mean, he should have just gone to watch The Music Man.
But she says it was unforgivable.
Yeah.
I know that he's protecting Sheldrake, but why doesn't he tell Dr. Dreyfus the truth?
I don't know.
And he gets punched, and he takes the punch, and I guess he doesn't want to make, sorry for the parlance, I guess he doesn't want to make Fran look like a cheap hooker. But he's making, he gets punched for it, and Dr. Dreyfus thinks he's a bastard, and yeah. Here we are. The biggest Tom Big question we've ever had so far. What is the best closing Auld Lang Syne scene of all time? Is it this?
Yeah.
Is it when Harry met Sally? Or is it
I'm gonna spoil it. It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
By far.
Okay, I'll give you it. Okay, we'll go for It's a Wonderful Life. He was. What was in your Christmas card this year, Will?
I can't remember the quote.
You cold-hearted
sorry.
bastard.
Sorry, I mean the one that you wrote for me. I thought you were trying to reference It's a Wonderful Life. No, it was I am your angel, your guardian angel.
No, I know it wasn't. I am your guardian angel. God damn it! I said no man who is a failure who doesn't have friends. I didn't put you're my guardian angel. Jesus,
cry for help.
Yeah.
I'm writing this in a factory.
Dear Clarence. Okay, yeah, no, it's a Wonderful Life. Oh wait, I'm actually going to put The Apartment third because Auld Lang Syne doesn't go on for the whole scene.
Yeah.
No, it does. No, because we have the Auld Lang Syne and then she runs away. But Auld Lang Syne doesn't score the big run. It moves into Jealous Lover again.
It finishes and then he turns around and goes, "Oh,
stop it." And Closing Line Hall of Fame. Spoilers, everybody. It's my favourite closing line of all time.
Oh, there you go.
My top 5 closing lines. We've talked about them before, but Shut Up and Deal. It's 3 Wilders and 2 80s sex lines. It's Shut Up and Deal. Nobody's perfect, some like it hot. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. And then Caddyshack, hey, we're all going to get laid. And Clue, I'm going to go home and have sex with my wife. They're my 5 favourite closing lines of all time. However, Shut Up and Deal, God, breaks my heart every time. It should make me happy. When I'm watching it with a girl, which has only happened once. Well, no, 3 times. We watched it 3 times. She liked it. Anyway, but it's the classic thing of, lonely movies and romance movies. When I Met Sally makes me upset now. If you're not watching, sit in a movie theatre in Philadelphia watching When I Met Sally when you're sat on your own and 3 other couples are all smooching. It's a miserable existence.
Watch it. Watch it then.
Don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to watch it on the big screen.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's life, isn't it? Sad movies romance movies are happy when you're with somebody and relentlessly sad when you're not. But, yeah, I think that's too far out. What's your stance? You made a face.
I don't know. I think it depends what period of how recent you've been in a relationship. It's all matters.
Well, it's been a year and a half for me.
Yeah, but
I'm still miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I knew you would. I knew you'd love Jack Lemmon. I knew you'd fall for Fran Kubelik, who couldn't. And I had a good feeling about this movie, and I was correct. Next episode, da-dun, 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 da-dun. Back to Bond with your favourite Bond.
My favourite Bonds. Thank you for singing the Casino Royale theme. We will be doing, of course, Skyfall. Great. It's a great party piece on the piano. It gets them all crowding round. I always play
your party piece is playing Skyfall.
No. I probably do something from
the Apartments. Dun, 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 dun. Learn that for me, Will. Next time I've never heard you play. Oh no, that's not true. I heard you play the piano.
I think I sent a snippet, didn't I?
Yeah, but I would. Yes, learn Jealous Lover. There's your homework, Will. Will, I adore you. I do. I love you, Will Leggetter.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, Will! Shut up and end the podcast. That's what you said. Right, we're going to do it again.
Shut up and then.
Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubelik? Here we are. I love you, Will Leggetter. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Jesus! I love you, Will Leggetter. Did you hear me, Mr. Leggetter? I absolutely adore you.
Shut up and end the podcast.
Well, it was almost like the first time. Ba 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 ba.